Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, respectable judges, honored viewers. Today, let me start my speech with an impressive experience. So everybody, let me take you back to when I was 9 years old. At that moment, I was in search of elementary schools. The happiest moment of me when I see people around of me wearing traditional clothes proudly. When we see the combinations of traditional patterns with culture touch, it gives more interesting style and carry up our cultural characteristics. And everyone, I thought that in the couple years later, I could see it again. But now today, the upcoming of foreign cultures has driven the change of our generation's behavior to always prefer foreign cultures, even lifestyles. And it creates long distances between our culture and our generations. And everybody, I'm really getting sick of this reality. Despite being so hard to find our generations wear traditional clothes, today I feel sorts of different when I met one of sorts videos in versus cultural fashion show performance. It was so surprising me, while satisfied me enough, knowing that there are still many of us who care about our cultures. It was a sign of hope, because culture is more than just a food, music, or even traditions. It's the heart of who we are and how we connect with all over the world. So everybody, I am Firnazh Athaya, coming straight from Nurul jadi junior high schools, gonna give you more understands that Generation Z has an important role in preserving local culture alive. So turn your volume up and listen up to my speech entitled Cultural Resilience in the Global Era. Generation Z's perspective on Indonesian history preservation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia has an extraordinary wealth of culture, ranging from traditions and customs to unique arts and culinary diversity in each region. However, in today's era of globalization, foreign culture are entering rapidly through technology and social media, influencing people's lifestyles, especially Generation Z. As active internet users, Generation Z has an important role in preserving local culture, so it is not displaced by the current of globalization. The challenge of preserving local culture amid the influx of foreign influences is not necessarily a threat if it can be accepted wisely. Yet, without a strong understanding of local identity, Indonesian culture is at risk of being overshadowed. One of the main challenges lies in modern lifestyles that makes foreign cultures appear more attractive. Many young people today are more familiar with K-pop and Korean dramas than traditional arts such as wayang and batik. Furthermore, digital platforms tend to showcase foreign cultural content more often than traditional culture, making it easier for young generations to embrace outside influences. Well, everybody, preserving Indonesia's history from Generation Z's perspective means efforts by young people to protect, maintain, and revive the values, events, and heritage of the nations through creativity approaches aligned with technological and digital cultural developments. For Generation Z, who grew up in the era of globalizations and digitalizations, preserving history is no longer limited to books and classrooms, but can also be realized through technology, social media, podcasts, films, educational games, and even digital archiving. In today's context, its relevance lies in challenges such as the declining interest of reading history, the strong flow of foreign cultures, and the spread of misinformations in the digital space. Through creativity and digital literacy, Generation Z can make history more engaging, interactive, and closer to daily life, while strengthening national identity and fostering patriotism amid globalization. Well, everyone, the problem becomes more complex with the widespread presence of hoaxes and disinformations, leaving many Generation Z with shallow or distorted historical knowledge. As a result, their connections to national history weakens, with some even considering it boring and irrelevant. If this continues, it could lead to a crisis of national identity, where the younger generations lack pride and attachment to the nation's values, of struggle. Well, everybody, to address these issues, interactive approaches tailored to the digital world are needed. History must be packaged in more appealing formats such as short videos, films, educational games, and interactive content on social media. This way, history is no longer seen as boring, but instead becomes a natural part of our daily lives. Collaborations between the government, educators, history communities, and young creators is essential to ensure historical narratives remain factual yet entertaining. Digital literacy must also be strengthened so that Generation Z can distinguish reliable information from hoaxes. Through this approach, Generation Z can not only preserve history, but also turn it into a source of identity, pride, and strength for the nations in the midst of globalization. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusions, preserving Indonesia's history and culture in the midst of globalizations and digitalizations faces serious challenges due to declining reading interest, the strong influence of foreign cultures, and the spread of misinformation. Yet, Generation Z, though vulnerable to global currents, holds great potentials to safeguard national identity through creativity and digital skills. By presenting history in engaging, interactive, and modern ways, Generation Z can revive the nation's heritage. Collaborations between the government, educators, history communities, and young creators is the key so that history is not only remembered, but also becomes a lasting source of identity, pride, and strength for the future. So everybody, thank you for your all nice attentions. I am Firnazh Athaya, signed off. So, Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.